The games are about to start and you're not sure who to play? Don't worry, we're going to help you out in this week's Sunday Morning Quickie. Welcome on into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and we're going to help you set your fantasy football lineups. It is Sunday, October 12th. This is episode 175, and it's time for a Week 6 Sunday Morning Quickie. In this show, we'll see who's in and who's out for week number 6. We'll also review our starts of the week. We'll let you in on the players to watch in our Wingman Jam contest, and we'll let you know the best way to get the most updated news to help you set your fantasy football lineups. But before we do any of that, I want to make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingman assemble! All right, guys, let's get right into it. Let's see who's in, who's out, who's hurt, and who's not in this week's actives, inactives. Starting off with players that are going to be out for a longer period of time here or on the IR. We've got Spencer Schrader, Indianapolis Colts kicker, was placed on the IR and going to be out for the remainder of the season. Antonio Gibson, New England running back, has also been placed on the IR, and he too is out for the rest of the season, as is backup running back Miles Sanders for the Dallas Cowboys. He's also out for the remainder of the season. Jadon Blue is going to get some action today. I know he played last week and not very well, but now he is the backup, well-rested, and if there's any injury to Javonte Williams, he's going to have a chance to be the bell cow of that Dallas Cowboys offense. All right, moving along here, we've got Joe Mixon. He was on NFI lists to start the season. He is still not able to return yet, and there's kind of optimism as they're saying they're going to check on him in 3 to 4 weeks to reassess the situation here. So he's not been ruled out for the year, but he's definitely not coming back for the next 2 to 4 weeks, and then we'll go from there. All right, Brenton Strange, Jacksonville tight end, was also placed on the IR this week, going to miss a minimum of 4 games, but the report is that he'll be out 5 weeks. Amarian Hampton, LA Charger rookie running back, was also placed on the IR this week, and he is going to miss a minimum of 4 games. And there are rumors that the Chargers are looking to make trades for running backs. This makes me worried that Amarian Hampton might miss more than the 4 weeks, as if they're really looking to get new players in, that they might be worried about his health going forward. Just speculation on my part, but just keep that in mind. All right, Brandon Ayuk, San Francisco wide receiver who started the year on the PUP list after a gruesome knee injury last week. He's able to be activated at any time in terms of that practice window. However, the reports are he's going to need at least 2 to 4 more weeks before he's able to even return. Aaron Jones is on the IR and still has 2 weeks left to miss because the Minnesota Vikings are on bye this week. I forgot to mention here, yes, the Vikings are on bye and the Houston Texans are on bye. So, of course, we have no Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, or Jordan Mason. All right, continuing with guys who are on the IR and are closer to returning, we have Tyler Bass, Buffalo kicker, was placed on the IR going into week 1. Is said to be about 1 to 2 weeks away, although with kickers, you don't know if they're going to bring him back at all if Matt Prater keeps kicking well. George Kittle is looking like he'll be getting closer to a return. However, he is not ready to come back in week number 6. All reports are at this point that they are hoping and expect to be back by week 7. So next week, you should be getting your George Kittle back. On the same note, Christian Watson, Green Bay wide receiver, did have his 21-day practice window open. He did get practices in this week. According to reports, he looked really good, although they're going to hold him out 1 more week to make sure he is fully up to speed. So Christian Watson is not going to play in week 6, but they're expecting him to be back week 7 or soon after. Jalen Coker, Carolina wide receiver, also started the year on the IR, had his 21-day practice window opened. He did get some work in this week. However, like Christian Watson, they're going to hold him out 1 more week to let him ramp up to get ready for full activity here. So Jalen Coker is out today, but expected to be back next week. Rashee Rice had a 6-game suspension. This is week 6, which means after today, he will be able to return. I'm assuming he's fine injury-wise, so Rashee Rice should be able to be back on your teams next week. All right, now for players that are out this week with shorter-term injuries, we're starting out with Lamar Jackson. Once again, going to miss this week. He's out. Cooper Rush is going to get the start this week. CeeDee Lamb is out for his third consecutive game for the Dallas Cowboys, so there'll be no CeeDee Lamb. Also, KaVontae Turpin is also out. Again, not a big player, but with those two wide receivers out, we're looking at Jalen Tolbert, who's kind of a low-key not great, but the young player Flournoy has a chance to repeat his strong output from last week. Keep an eye on that for a desperation play. Chuba Hubbard, Carolina running back, has been ruled out once again, making way for Rico Dowdle to have a chance to repeat his strong performance from last week against the Dolphins, this time against the Cowboys, his old team. Is it revenge week, or is he out of gas from running all those yards last week? Calvin Austin III, Pittsburgh wide receiver, is out once again for the Steelers. All right, seems not important, but these are guys that you could easily miss. Joey Slye, Tennessee kicker, is out today, guys. They signed Matthew Wright. If you're in a pinch and need a kicker and want to play the kicker for Tennessee, if you're that desperate, Matthew Wright is going to take the kicking duties for Tennessee today against, I believe they're playing the Raiders. Brock Bowers, Las Vegas tight end, is out today, guys. He's missing his second consecutive game, and I think they have a bye in 1 or 2 weeks. So I expect him to miss all the way through the bye, but nonetheless, he is definitely out for week 6. Another Brock on this list, Brock Purdy, San Francisco quarterback, is out today, making way for Mac Jones to make his a third or fourth consecutive start of the season, third consecutive start, fourth start of the year. Anyway, Mac Jones is expected to play today instead of Brock Purdy. Ricky Pearsall is also out, staying in San Francisco, and he's going to miss his second consecutive game. All right, now we've got a trio of Buccaneers, and these are all really good players, and they are all out today. Bucky Irving is out, making way for Rachaad White to maybe have a repeat performance, as all these handcuff running backs last week performed quite well. Let's see if they can do it in back-to-back weeks. And receivers Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are both out. Keep in mind here, whenever we have this many receivers out, of course, Emeka Buko is going to be a stud, but Cade Otton is a sneaky play today. I would not be surprised if he is their number 2 target and most effective red zone target as well. All right, players that are going to be out on the Monday night game. We have Darnell Mooney for Atlanta, has already been ruled out for Monday night, as has Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown. Man, we got a lot of players out this week, so you guys are going to be scrambling to try and find some players to get into your lineup. All right, now for players that are listed as questionable with varying degrees of whether or not they're expected to play or not. Let's start with Tutu Atwell, LA Ram wide receiver. He is going to be a game time decision, as there hasn't been much news related to whether he's likely or unlikely to play. Just keep in mind, he's just part of that offense. He only gets a couple catches a game here, but he is going to be out. So maybe in a pinch, if you need Whittington, might be the player to play here. But essentially, we're going to stay away from the third and fourth options in LA. Zay Flowers was also listed as questionable, but he is expected to play, although the reports are he's expected to have limited snaps. So if you have Zay Flowers, again, I can't guarantee his production, but I would really look for some other options out there. Rashad Bateman is always a good play. Might be time to put Mark Andrews in, although he's disappointed over and over again. Just keep in mind Zay Flowers is going to play and expected to have limited snaps. This one's kind of a big deal here, guys. Kyler Murray, Arizona Cardinals. These reports have been going back and forth. At the latest report, he is not expected to play, and they are preparing for Jacoby Brissett to take the snaps at the quarterback position. This, too, is one that snuck up on us later in the week. Quentin Johnson, LA Chargers wide receiver, had, I think it's a hamstring injury that popped up during the middle of the week. At the moment, he is not expected to play. He's going to attempt to warm up to see if that might change, but there's pessimism that he's going to play today. Keep that in mind. I know Quentin Johnson's become a every week starter since his early season breakout. You're going to have to look for other options, guys. There's no guarantee he's going to play, and actually it's more likely than not he will not play today in a juicy matchup against the Miami Dolphins. So keep in mind, it might be time for Ladd McConkey to finally break out all the way with a decent game last week with about 55 yards and a touchdown. Maybe it's time for McConkey to have a strong day today. Alvin Kamara, New Orleans running back, is listed as questionable. He is expected to play today, however, but keep in mind he's going to start splitting some reps with Kendre Miller. I don't know if it's going to be closer to that 50-50 as Kendre Miller is starting to play pretty well, but Kamara will be on the field. Juwan Jennings looks like he's going to get back on the field as well for the San Francisco 49ers. That is good news. And with the absence of Ricky Pearsall, there's a chance he might be a pretty big stud today. Mac Jones, San Francisco quarterback, is expected to start. He's expected to play, but he is banged up, guys. Play him at your own peril here. There's a chance he could get banged up and miss some time. Every game we watch him play, he doubles over and limps over to the sideline. He does get back on the field. He seems to be a tough guy or a big-time faker. But either way, keep in mind that he is banged up. Jamar Chase came down with an illness on Friday or Saturday. At the moment, he is expected to play, but there hasn't been much clarity on that since the illness was reported. I just expect him to play because it's an illness, and he's a big-time receiver, and they need all the help they can get. But definitely, and I believe they play at 4 o'clock. Let me see if I can double-check this here. Let me double-check real quick before I lock that in. Cincinnati plays at 4:25. So with that being said here, you're going to have to double-check the news closer to that 3 o'clock time frame here because he's expected to play, but there's a lot of time for some wiggle room, and Jamar Chase is a big-time player. You do not want to make a mistake. Another kicker here. Again, these guys aren't that important. There's a lot of kickers, but these are people we don't check on a lot. Brandon McManus came down with I think it was a quad injury, some sort of lower leg injury. At the moment, he's listed as questionable. But they did sign a kicker to the active roster. So they're going to have 2 kickers dressing going into today. Lucas Haversick is going to be active today, which means Brandon McManus is not expected to play. Right now he's listed as questionable. It's going to be kind of a game time decision, but all the actions by the team are indicating that they're not expecting McManus to play. All right, now for some Monday night players that are questionable here. And the problem with this is it's Monday night. They don't have their designations set in stone yet, so you're going to have to follow the news here. I'm going to be one of those guys if I have a couple of these players as well, and I'm getting pretty nervous as you'll have limited options for some backup help. Dalton Kincaid, Buffalo tight end, is playing Monday night. He did get limited practices all week, but he was wearing a non-contact jersey as he's dealing with an oblique injury. So there's a pretty good chance he will play, but nothing's been determined as of yet as they have the extra day of practice. The extra day for things to change. Keep in mind, if you're really looking for Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, I guess, would be a decent pivot. If not, someone like Keon Coleman, if he's not drafted, even, something like that. All right, Colston Loveland, Chicago tight end. They were on bye last week. He missed the week prior, still listed as questionable, although they have the Monday night game, and his playing status is not clear at this point. Now, these are the ones that are really hurting me. Deebo Samuel, Washington wide receiver, was questionable all last week, did end up playing, had one of his better games, but again, he's listed as questionable today, and there is some real angst on whether he's going to play or not. They're determining him as a game-time decision, but again, it's the last game of the week, Monday night. I'm in the same boat, guys. I am pretty screwed. I don't have any options in those games. I may have to pivot, at least get Luke McCaffrey on my bench sometime before Monday to have an emergency insurance plan. So definitely consider a backup plan on your roster by the deadline you need to have them for per your site to make sure you have someone you can put in there in the unforeseen situation where Deebo Samuel will not be playing. Right now he's listed as questionable, game time decision. Too much time, not clear to decide at this point. And Chris Rodriguez is also listed as questionable, and there's a pretty good chance he won't play, making way for, Ja'Cory Croskey-Merrit to have all the work sprinkled in with Jeremy McNichols. All right, now for some players who were listed on the injury report during the week, have since been removed, and they are going to play today. Starting off with Alec Pierce, Indianapolis Colt wide receiver, who is coming back from a concussion, missed the last 2 games, but he will be back on the field today. Tua Tagovailoa was dealing with, I think, a thumb injury on his throwing hand and a hip injury. He has since been removed from the injury report, and he's going to play today. Jaylen Warren, the Pittsburgh Steelers were on bye last week, but he did miss the week prior to that in week 4 when they were playing in London. But he is off the injury report now, and he is going to play. Amon-Ra St. Brown was on the injury report during the week with what they called a wrist injury. I'm thinking they just used that as a designation to give him a Veterans Day of rest. Either way, he is now off that injury report. Amon-Ra St. Brown, our Sun God, is going to play. And Xavier Worthy, we're not worthy, is off of the injury report, and he is going to play today. And that's a long list of players, guys. Definitely have some backup plans ready to go. If you need some help with some, go ahead and leave a comment on this thing, and I will answer you as soon as I can prior to kickoff to give you some suggestions. All right, now it's time to take a look at our show's starts of the week. Bring it in. Take a knee. Who wants in?
Oh, pick me! Oh, I know, me!
All right, son, don't let me down. You're in.
Wingman Fantasy Football starts of the week.
All right, if you are not aware, me and my co-host, who of course doesn't join me on these Sunday morning shows, we pick our starts of the week for our quarterback, running back, and wide receiver / receiver position. We include tight ends into that group. And we try and pick guys that are kind of in your flexish area and let you know if you can start these guys with confidence. All right, going to my co-host Bernie's picks this week. His start of the week at the quarterback position is Sam Darnold, Seattle Seahawk quarterback, at a projection at 15.7. We expect him to beat that as a quality streamer this week. The Seahawks are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who give up the 6th most points to the quarterback position. His running back start of the week is J.K. Dobbins in the early game against the New York Jets, and the Jets give up the 10th most points to the running back position. His receiver start of the week is tight end Jake Ferguson against the Carolina Panthers, who give up the 2nd most points to the tight end position. Once again, without CeeDee Lamb and KaVontae Turpin, he should be a pretty healthy target hog in this game. Again, he's projected for 8.9 points, so we expect him to crush that. And I forgot to mention J.K. Dobbins is projected for 10.3 points in a very plus matchup. So all these guys have a very strong chance to beat those projections. All right, guys, now it's time for my starts of the week for week number 6. Starting off with my quarterback start of the week, I'm going with Matthew Stafford against those banged up Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens give up the 2nd most points to the quarterback position. And with Matthew Stafford having a 16.5 point projection, I'm believing he can beat that pretty easily. All right, my running back start of the week is Croskey-Merrit on Monday night, the last game of the week, versus the Chicago Bears, who give up the 2nd most points to the running back position. As we mentioned before, he is taking over the lead back all by himself here now, and with the banged up Chris Rodriguez and Austin Eckler already being out for the season, he's got a very good chance to beat his 10.6 point projection. And my wide receiver start of the week is King Tet. All right, King Tet's going to walk like an Egyptian today up against the Dallas Cowboys, who give up the most points to the wide receiver position. I am calling for a touchdown guarantee as Tetero McMillan is going to get his first touchdown of the season at a 12.4 point projection. He's going to need that touchdown to beat that score. All right, guys, it is now time to take a look at our Wingman Jam contest. In this contest here, we pick our an NFL team for the week. We pick our favorite 2 players from that team, and we go around everybody. We go up against all the other managers who have picked such a combination and see who can get the highest score for the week. So let's take a look at our Wingman Jam.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Wingman Jam with Bernie the Bounty Hunter and Amazing Spidey. Boom shakalaka. Buffalo Bills. Carolina Panthers. All right, I am going with the Carolina Panthers, Tetero McMillan and Rico Dowdle, while my co-host Bernie is going with the Bills, Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid. We have Austin F., who's joining us once again, trying to earn himself the top seat in the Showcase Showdown. He's got Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey for the Chargers today. Good luck to everyone out there. Good luck indeed. Just a refresher of how this game works. Again, you pick those teams and players there, and you get 1 point for showing up, just playing the game with us. You get a bonus point for third place, 2 bonus points for second place, and 3 bonus points for getting third place with the highest fantasy scoring tandem for the week. So keep in mind with that. And then we add up the points for 3-week phases, and the manager who has the most points after 3 weeks will earn themselves a seat in the Showcase Showdown. In our first phase, weeks 1 through 3, Andrew F. earned had the highest points total in terms of the rankings there, and he already has seat number 1 in the Showcase Showdown. And Austin F. just needs to get 3rd place or higher, and he will lock in himself the 2nd seat to the Showcase Showdown, where those two will go heads up in a mano-a-mano battle for a prize of some Wingman Fantasy Football swag. Keep in mind, we use our Yahoo Fantasy Football fantasy point scoring. So we do half-point PPR. We do no negative points for interceptions and or fumbles, so keep that in mind. All right, guys, we're going to let you know the very best way to get the most updated news to help you set your fantasy football lineups. Do me the favor, guys, if you need the most updated news, go to wingmanfantasyfootball.com. When you get over there, guys, I want to let you in there. We have aggregated news on the left side of the page. On the middle of the page, we have our tiles here to the fantasy football websites, CBS, ESPN, NFL.com, Yahoo, Sleeper, and Underdog. Also in the middle, we have our latest episode of the Wingman Fantasy Football League. On the right side here, we have our last 5 audio podcasts. Plus, we have Twitter feeds from prominent news reporters, including Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport. Who else do we have here? We've got Pro Football Talk, Around the NFL, and Underdog Fantasy. Also, the most important tool, in my opinion, right in the middle of the page is the NFL Inactive List. It'll populate approximately 90 minutes prior to kickoff. Just keep in mind they are loaded in alphabetical order, not chronological order, so you will have to scroll around to find the team you're looking for. But that is a great tool to make sure that you can get the most updated news to help you set your fantasy football lineups. Guys, hey, I want to thank you guys so very much for joining me for this Sunday morning quickie. If you need any help with some starts or sits, go ahead and leave a comment. I will respond to them as soon as I can. With that being said, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. You can find our audio feeds in all your favorite podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, YouTube Music, and many, many more. Do me the favor, guys. Go ahead and rate us on there. Pass along the info to your friends so we can spread out the love there. And if you want to see our show, you can go to our YouTube channel at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube or youtube.com/@wingmanfantasyfootball. When you find us on YouTube, guys, do me the favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment if you please. If you would please, you can go ahead and let us know what tandems you want for your Wingman Wingman Jam teams. You can also put in your start-sit questions, any other things like that. Also, you can let us know what games you want us to preview for next week's Week 7 preview, and we'll get you into our mailbag segment if you've got any comments worth posting there, guys. Thank you again. With that being said, may your glasses be full, your mug stay frosty, and we will see you next time.